Thank you. Bore da pawb.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Ms. Councillor Sharon Dolman, Chair of the Council. Can I welcome everyone to the meeting, which is a multi-location meeting. The meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will be available for viewing after the meeting. Should the live stream fail, the meeting will continue and a recording will be available through the Council's website following the conclusion of the meeting. Can I remind members that translation facilities are available? If you want to make use of this facility, please select the English language option on the microphone delegate unit if you're in the Council chamber, and for those attending remotely by clicking on the Audio Settings tab and selecting English. For those wishing to speak, please press your microphone push to speak button, which is located at the bottom of the microphone console. Similarly, for those attending remotely, please press the push to speak tab. Do not use the yellow hand function. This should only be used if you want to come in with a point of order. In order to maintain your place in the speaker queue when asking a question, please leave your microphone on until you have received a response and asked any supplementary questions. It would be helpful if members could ask all the questions in one go. While I do not wish to stifle debate, can I remind members that any questions should be focused on the subject matter and to avoid repetition. For those attending remotely, please note that those in the chamber will be unable to use the chat facility. Remote attendees, if you do need to leave the meeting temporarily, please pop a message in the chat function. I expect everyone present and participating in this meeting to conduct themselves appropriately and be respectful to each other. This applies to members, officers and members of the press and public attending. Thank you. Diolch. Item 1, apologies for absence.
Just one apology from Councillor Cathy Augustine.
Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. Can I remind members that they must declare the nature of their declared personal interest? Do we have any? No, thank you. Yeah.
Obviously, Chair, we're here today in terms of election of the leader. So, candidates who are put forward for election as leader will have a personal interest only, due to exemptions under the code that mean that's personal only. So we can note those at the time that we know them.
Thank you. Urgent matters. I'm not aware of any urgent matters. So then we move to item 4, the appointment of leader. And I would like to invite Councillor Charlie McCoubrey to address the council before moving on to the formal appointment process. Councillor.
Back here, Chair. Diolch Cadeirydd bore da pawb. I'm not one given to verbosity, so I'll look to keep this fairly short, members. I just wanted to give my sincerest thanks to all of you for putting your confidence and supporting me as leader of this council for the last 4.5 years. As my mother drilled into me, self-praise is no praise, so I'll leave it for others to make decisions on how well I've fulfilled the role, but I do know that I've absolutely given it my all. It's been an honour and a pleasure to take that role. It's been really fulfilling in some respects, really enjoyable, but in other aspects, as we know, the last 3 years has been particularly gruelling, and that's been the most challenging part of the job for me. I took the role on in 2021. We were just coming out of the back of COVID. During the COVID pandemic, the authority was well funded. We did some really incredible stuff. We removed the scourge of street homelessness. We got about £80 million of grants out to our business and kept our communities going. I know many councillors on a personal level volunteered to support their communities. In that financial year, in order to balance a budget, we set council tax figure of 3.95%. That's what we needed to bridge the gap. I remember at the time thinking that was uncomfortably high. The following year I was elected again, stood for leader. At that stage, we thought we were facing £6 million gap. I actually thought long and hard, did I want to be involved in making that level of cuts, given the cuts of the previous 14 years of austerity, but I decided to take the role. We all know that we would give our right arm for a gap of £6 million. It was in the high 20s. I think at the actual budget day it was around 21 million, and that's been the pattern for the last 3 years, budget gaps in the high 20s, resulting in punishing levels of council tax, which we all know impacts on the most poor in our communities, but also extensive cuts to services that residents value and treasure, and that's been really, really difficult for us all. The workload of the leader is considerable. It's ramped up over the last few years. Members will be aware of the stuff I do in the chamber, but certainly the regional element has become much more important, with the North Wales Corporate Joint Committee, Economic Ambition Board, the Public Service Board, and obviously you've got work with the Welsh Local Government Association. And I think both the hours that you have to put in and the gravity of the decisions you're asked to make, clearly that takes a toll on the individual, but more importantly for me, it does quite detrimental to family life. I have a 2-year-old grandson who I've absolutely not spent enough time with. I've not been able to help my daughter with that real challenge young people face, juggling their work career and the exorbitant costs of childcare. I have an elderly father who I don't see enough. It's one of my biggest regrets in life was 3 years ago I stayed to deliver the budget. Sadly, my mother passed away on the night of the budget, so I wasn't able to, be there, which is something I don't really want to be in that situation again. On a personal level, I've had a wrist replacement last week. I have a few other bits and bobs that need attention. Nothing serious. It's just the sort of stuff you accumulate if you're stupid enough to play rugby until you're 49. But that will take, a considerable amount of time in terms of rehabilitating that and getting some other bits sorted out. So there's many qualities of leadership. I think an underrated one is the ability to have the understanding that you're no longer the best person to lead. And so for the reasons I've given, I think it's absolutely time for change. We need a new leader who'll bring more energy, fresh ideas, and have the ability to build a cabinet around them who will support them. I remain 100% committed to the work of this council. I will continue to work for my residents. I'll continue to work in whatever way I can, but clearly in a different role. Last of all, I just want to offer my thanks and respect for the incredible work that our officers do. I've constantly highlighted differential in funding, where NHS funding has increased by 30% over the last 10 years, and councils have had a 0.57% cut. Despite that, we still continue to serve, and that's down to the professionalism and dedication of our officers. Clearly, the cuts we've had to make and the council tax increases impacts on us as local representatives, but they are highly trained professionals who understand, who are having to juggle what is really an impossible task. So it's been a pleasure working with them, and as I say, I will continue to do everything I can, but just in a different role, Chair. So thank you all. Diolch o galon I chi gyd.
Thank you, Councillor Charlie McCoubry. I assume you've got the box of Kleenex there with you that you can hand round. Thank you. We will now move on to the formal appointment process to appoint a new leader for Conway County Council. I'll just explain the process before we start. First part of the process, we will seek nominations, proposer and a seconder. Then each of the nominated candidates will be allowed 10 minutes to address the council on their vision for the future as a leader. And then, as per the council's constitution, as the appointment is a paid position, we will move to the secret ballot. So, without further ado, we will seek nominations, please. Any nominations for leader? Councillor Chris Cater.
Diolch yn fawr, bore da pawb, diolch yn fawr cadeirydd. And can I just start off by giving my best wishes to Councillor Charlie McCoubry, who's been a fantastic leader of this council, and it's been a real pleasure serving under your leadership on the cabinet. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn iawn, Councillor Charlie. Guy,
Can I propose Councillor Julie Fallon?
Lead of the council. Councillor Julie will go through her CV and motivation as part of her presentation, I'm sure. But notably for me have been the 6 years plus that she's worked hard as a cabinet member for education and skills. This has been under two leaders' chair and two different coalitions. So it shows that Julie can work effectively cross-party, and she is presently leader of the Conway First Independent Group, the largest group with 18 members. She held the education portfolio during the COVID-19 pandemic emergency, and I think showed real strength, dedication and compassion during that extremely difficult period for our schools and young people generally. Julie has never let political convolutions deflect her assessment of what is right. The conscientious work that she has done in her Deganwy ward over 13 years really shows her community focus and ability. And just an aside, she flew home from a holiday early to get things in order and prepare properly for this meeting today. So I believe Julie will be a perfect fit for lead of this council, and I look forward to giving her my support, any support that she needs from me, because it will be a seriously challenging job with many complex developments as we navigate financial storms and politically, well, treacherous times there'll be. So I propose Councillor Julie Fallon, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Cater. Do I have a seconder for the proposal of Julie Fallon as leader? Councillor Tristan Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. It's a pleasure. I'll just wait a few seconds. You put your headphones on. It's a pleasure to second Councillor Chris. I know Councillor Julie since 2012, when we were both fighting the election in Deganwy. So there was a third really as well, which was Councillor Gronwy at that time. But I know, being from Deganwy, got family in Deganwy, I know how enthusiastic Councillor Julie is and the hard work that she does, not only in the council here, but also in her ward. And she's highly respected in Deganwy, and the exact person, the ideal person to move on. Thank you very much.
All right, Tristan Lewis. Councillor Dave Jones.
Hi. I'm a man of very few words. Firstly, I'd like to thank our outgoing leader. Thank you very much for such a great time in the job. I would like to nominate Councillor Paul Lecoq, and basically I'll leave the talking to Paul. I think he will bring something dynamic to the council as a leader. So yes, I nominate Councillor Paul Lecoq.
Thank you, Councillor Dave Jones. Do I have a seconder for the proposal. Councillor Paul. Thank you, Councillor Paul. Are there any other nominations for leader? No. No other nominations. Okay, thank you. I would now like to invite Councillor Julie Fallon to give us a presentation on her vision as leader. Thank you.
Bore da,
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the council today.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you and to explain why I believe I should be the next leader of this great Conway Council. So a little bit about who I am. So I'm a Conway County born and bred lady. My childhood was spent the early years in Penmaenmawr. I attended Ysgol Pen Cai, and then I moved to Llanfraidhechan, where I attended Ysgol Pantyfredyn, and then I attended high school in Bangor. I was lucky enough to move to America when I was a teenager, back in the late 80s, early 90s, when America was a very cool place to be. I then spent some time working in Antigua as a tutor, got the travelling bug out of my system and came back to live in our lovely county here in Conway, where I've gone on to have 3 amazing children. I'm with Mike, we've been together 30 years. And I have Chloe, who's 25. She's a doctor, and I'm incredibly proud. My son Adam is 20. He's in his final year of university, and again, incredibly proud. And I have Grace, who is 15 next birthday, very self-sufficient, and again, very proud. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed, and you can see us all there on the screen. In terms of previous experience, so I started in insurance with an insurance broker. I then moved into management, and that was actually in tourism. I was a manager in one of the largest hotels in Llandudno. Gave me a really good insight into tourism and how important it is, not just to Llandudno, but to the county as a whole, which I feel will really stand me in good stead with the leadership position if I'm successful today. I returned to college, where I studied humanities and social science. And then during COVID, there was a call from the NHS for staff to come and work. And I've done that for the last 5 years as a bank worker, covering mainly weekends and sometimes in the quiet periods at council. So I work in minor injuries, I work on the wards, I work in different hospitals. And it's something, again, I think that gives me a perspective that's really relevant to this role and understanding of what's happening out there, not just within the local authority. So in summary, I've worked in tourism, management, HR, healthcare, which means I have experience in communication, leadership, and a thorough understanding of what's important to all of our communities here in Conway. Community work, most of you know that's my passion. I love trying to make a difference in the community. That's why I put myself forward to be a councillor all those years ago. My movie club I've done for about 14 years now. I started that to support people who are isolated and lonely in the community. And it's just a wonderful thing to do. I love it. It's the best thing I do. It's one afternoon a month, so I intend to continue that. It won't impact on if I'm successful today. My dementia cafe, cancer support group I set up, they're on a pause at the minute, so that's not going to take up a great deal of time. Flood watch, you'll see me anytime there's a high tide that coincides with a storm, being blown along Ganway Prom, checking to make sure it's still standing and checking hotspots in the area. And I've been a dementia champion for years, helping the hospital set up as a dementia-friendly community, and I've done that within Ganway as well. So something I'm really proud and passionate about. In terms of my council experience, Chris touched on it a little bit there. I've been a county councillor for the Ganway ward for 13 years. I was chair of Democratic Services, chair of Education Scrutiny. I chaired the police and crime panel for North Wales for a number of years. Again, giving me really good experience that I think will will add to this role. I was chair of GWER through a really, through COVID, and then through a really difficult period with the winding down of GWER, which again is something that I think gives me experience that can be used in the leadership role. I was vice chair of the Children and Young People Board at the LGA, so that covers children and young people across the whole of the UK. Really insightful, work closely with ministers in Westminster. And as you know, I've been cabinet member for education for 6 years. And as Chris touched on, that was through COVID, which was very challenging. For the early weeks of COVID, I was chairing a meeting with all of our head teachers every day. And that was when there wasn't a lot of information about, and we had to work together to find ways forward and a solution in a really difficult time. So I feel, again, that gives me strengths that I can take to the leadership role. My vision is communication, because I think that's really important. We hear all the time how people are negative about the council. They think that all we do is empty bins, and we do so much. So I want to be a voice for us and for our staff. I want to take the opportunity, haven't quite worked out whether that's weekly or fortnightly, but I want to start videos and travel around the whole county, visiting our staff that do fantastic work, and start to change that messaging out there and show just what a brilliant council we are, and just how much we do, whether that's helping an older person who has no support network by having carers go in and support them day in, day out. We're the people who pick that up. We're the people who help them. Or it might be helping a child with a severe physical disability with our special school and allowing them into a swimming pool that gives them the opportunity to move their body and feel like they actually have a positive opportunity. It's so broad, but communication for me is really key. I want to make that my priority. I want for you to feel that you can communicate with me. I want the community to feel that they can communicate. And I want to stand up and push back on the people who sometimes take opportunity to bash things that are done. I appreciate we don't always get everything right. And I will hold my hands up with that. And I think I'd like to, if there are episodes, which we've had over time, that are difficult, like the water shortage, like different things that happen, I'd be the voice that people can go to have a look. What's the video or what's the information that's being put out there? I want us to be really effective communicators. And that would be one of my top priorities in the role. My leadership style, I am confident. I think that comes from experience across the years that I've touched on already. Collaborative. I love to work with people, regardless of opinions. In fact, I find it interesting to hear opposite opinions to my own, and that helps me in my decision making. I'm strong, but I'm approachable. I have a good understanding of the financial climate. You can't be here for 13 years going through what we've been through without that. I want to champion the voice of all councillors, and I mean that regardless of political parties, regardless of areas you live, interests. You know, we are all here for the same reason, and that is to support the people that we represent and make Conway the best that it can be. I want to listen to our communities. I touched on that there with communication, and I want to be inclusive, so that everybody feels they have the opportunity to engage with me. And it's still a work in progress, but I've been learning British Sign Language, so bear with me. So for anyone watching who is hard of hearing, I'd like to say, welcome. My name is Julie. Good morning. And thank you. And thank you to everybody here for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. And I hope you put your trust in me and I won't let you down. Thank you. Diolch.
Thank you, Councillor Julie Fallon. I'd now like to invite Councillor Paul Lecoq to give his presentation on his vision for becoming leader. Thank you.
Can I just say Better sit down? Okay. Can I first say thank you for Charlie for all his work over the time I've been a councillor here, for his leadership, which was strong leadership. We had our disagreements, but it was always amicable and never personal, and I appreciate that very much. I also want to say a big thank you to the Deputy Leader, Councillor Emily, who I think has done a very impressive job over her period. And again, though we've had our disagreements, maybe less disagreements with Emily than Charlie, but she's always been very personable and helpful to me. So, and can I say to Julie, thank you for your presentation. We've certainly had disagreements over the time that I've been a councillor. We don't disagree about the direction for education, but we've always worked together in a quite appropriate way. Now, what's my vision? Well, I think in the 3 and a bit years that the councillors in this chamber have been here, they can see who I am. I am not a Machiavellian character at all. What you see is what you get. I think even though I'm 71 years old, I do have still great energy. I think I am able to challenge appropriate fellow councillors, officers, question people. I think that councillors across the council, I can have very personable relationships with all members of all political parties. Yes, we will have political disagreements. Everybody knows my political heritage and tradition, which I share with my soul group member, Dav. We are who we are. We're proud of our histories, and we're proud of that tradition and heritage. You may say, well, why are you like you are? Well, I came from a very working class family. I was a looked after child. My mother died when I was young. My father thought it was best that I should be in voluntary care. He was very aspirational for me. I passed my 11 plus, even though I was in care, and I went on to university. I trained. I graduated first in physical education and geography, the only course in the country that did physical education at that time at Birmingham. I went on and did a postgraduate certificate of education in Bangor. I was a passionate climber and mountaineer. I worked in that field as a teacher. I then went on and worked as a teacher, advisor, consultant for many, many years, particularly, they used to call them then troubled and troublesome children, which a term I didn't like. I was always a shop steward, even as a looked after child. I was the shop steward for looked after children, always spoke up. You can quite imagine as a child in the care system, I was certainly very challenging, but was very successful as well. So that's my short background. I went on to do further postgraduate qualifications in education, leadership and management. And I am obviously, from both my political history and my professional history, have experience of leadership and taking people with me. Leaders are only as strong as their followers. And so here today, in putting myself forward, I'm only as strong as those people who wish to follow me. What I will do if I was elected as leader, is I would talk to all political parties. I haven't canvassed for the vote. My intention would be to form a cabinet of all the talents, a cabinet who would be unrelenting, looking at the savings and cuts we need to make, the council taxes we would need to increase, the charges we would need to increase. We would interrogate in great detail our present reserves, and we would make pragmatic decisions on every occasion with my slogan, look at the facts, reach hard conclusions, make difficult decisions. That's what I've done across the council. For 3 years, I haven't copped out. I have voted for each of the budgets, even though the third budget, I was no longer a member of Conway First Independence. I still voted for that budget because I don't think voting in a gestorial way just to show your opposition is a way forward. You have to be loyal in getting a budget through, and I did that even when I wasn't part of the administration. As I say, going forward, my main challenge, and people know this, is we need to stop the fear. And I think there's been too much fear around the council. We need to be much more open in the council about what's going on. There won't be any secrets with me. You will get the facts. There won't be any Machiavellian behaviour by me. What will happen is the information will be there. It will be as much information as is absolutely possible in the public domain. There will be a new rigour and accountability for all councillors that when they need information for their constituents, the present 10 working day protocol to get information back from officers will be rigorously implemented. I personally don't have much of a problem with it, but I know some councillors do. Because as a councillor, what you need, what residents expect of you, is to know what's going on. They want you to know what's going on, be able to explain it, and that's what we will have in this council, both from a leadership point of view as well as an individual councillor point of view. If you haven't got the information, I will guarantee you'll get the information, because that's what you should have. One issue which I think is important, I'm an Englishman, no doubt about it. I live in Wales. I've lived in Wales for 36 years. Austin often reminds me of my Norman heritage. Anybody can tell that from my surname of Luckock. But let me be absolutely clear. I am a passionate supporter of Wales doing well. I'm a passionate supporter of the democratic self-determination of Wales. Why would I not be? I'm a passionate supporter of the self-determination democratically of Ukraine, Palestine, Israel. I believe passionately in that. I think my record voting on this council is absolutely in line for the Welsh language, for its culture and its heritage. I don't have any problem at all with that. I will work closely with Plaid members across the council chamber. We have disagreements because I believe the direction of travel for our schooling is that we need area rural schools of a minimum of 120 pupils for the best teaching and learning opportunities, and that will also release up monies for our coastal schools.
Your 10 minutes is up, Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you to both candidates for their presentation. We will now move to the vote. If you would like to vote for Councillor Julie Fallon, please select the green button. If you would like to vote for Councillor Paul Luckock, please select the red button. If we could start the vote, please. But you'll give me the result. You give me the result, do you? No, somebody else.
Sally.
Oh, fine. That's okay. I can only see online voting. Okay. No. Where do they get them from? Sharon get them. We close the vote. Yeah, could we close the vote now, please? Okay, we have a result. There for Councillor Julie Fallon, 40 votes, and for Councillor Paul Luckock, 7 votes. There 1 abstention. Thank you. So I declare that Councillor Julie Fallon is the new leader of Conway County Borough Council. Congratulations on that.
Can I say a couple of words?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, everybody. Diolch yn fawr iawn. I promise I won't let you down. I meant every word that I said in terms of I want to be approachable. Feel free, any of you, at any time, to come and knock my door. We've got 18 months. It's not a long time, so let's work together and make this the best 18 months it can be, and let's get on with it. And thank you very much. Diolch. To be the first female leader is a real honour. Thank you.
Diolch. And that brings our meeting to an end. So thank you everybody for coming this morning. Diolch. I'll be washing pots in the coffee morning. Yeah, you will.